Hey everybody, I'm joined with Alex Campbell, aka Chief, and he and I are going to talk about the multi-GP regional qualifier. So, Alex, please introduce yourself real quick.
What's up, guys? I'm Alex Chief Campbell, currently top qualifier in the regional finals series across the nation, and we're here to chat a little bit today.
Yeah, definitely. Got the chance to see it real time, real quick, talk to a lot of pilots about the track, and I think we are all amazed at Alex being able to, pound down 8 laps. So we're going to be here to talk about that right now. So, Alex, before we get into that subject, what do you think of the regional qualifying track?
Our track, you gotta take a look at the big picture. Yeah, it's kind of like an easy track, and there's not a whole lot of interesting things in it. It kind of gets old quick, but then again, this is the first qualifier to another qualifier to another qualifier to make it into the finals for nationals. So this is where all of the multi GP pilots battle it out for the next spot. Like this is the first cut out of all the multi GP pilots in the nation. So the margin for this track is big. Of course the there's going to be a select few that stand out from that crowd, but the top 400 or 500 in the nation deserve to go to regional finals in my opinion. I like the way it's going. I like the idea behind it, and I like that everybody gets to race a lot if they choose to. Like regional qualifiers, if you're not happy how you did, you get to go to another qualifier. Like, especially at this stage where the first step of where we're at in the whole series, this is a good chance to do that, I think. It gets everybody a chance to race for something as much as they want to.
Yep, I agree with you completely, and I kind of like the just the feel of the track. I think they actually did a good job making a big track. I think it actually worked out now that I've actually seen firsthand video of it
Mm-hmm.
and how the pilots fly it. It seems to be they're having still having a lot of fun out there because you can really build up a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
speed. You know?
Yeah, yes, sir. It's probably the fastest track that we've seen that still has skill level into it. To fly that track, it doesn't take a lot of skill level, but to go fast on that track, like it's all about your lines and not necessarily who can hold full throttle the longest, but who can hold the best lines for 2 minutes and the finish your lap portion is going to be the best pilot on that track,
Yeah,
especially with the format. I love that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think a lot of people can get 4 to 5 laps pretty easily and comfortably, but it's when you start pushing for that 6, 7, and 8 laps is when you start actually wrecking still because like you have to be perfect through your lines. Otherwise, that gate it'll come and kiss you.
Yes, yes. Especially if we look back at tracks like Nationals and even the regional finals and then Sebring, like there was a lot of people wrecking on those tracks. There was a lot of people asking for easier tracks. It'll make the racing better. It won't take as much skill level to get around the track, so we can focus on racing, is what my take on those guys wanted, which is a great idea to me. We're here to race, not make it around the track. So
Exactly.
I'm all about that. The easier track definitely allowed that to happen,
Cool.
which I'm all about. I loved it. My dad, 53 years old, a great pilot, man, he was making 4 laps all day, almost 5 laps, having the time of his life out there.
There you go. That's right.
It's
Uh,
no fun when you're crashing, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So we really do love the track. It is kind of a bit of a pain to set up. You're definitely gonna have to get out there and really do your measurements to get it right. But it's
Yeah.
still a really cool track. So let's go ahead and
Right.
get into the specifics. Obviously, we're here talking to you because you are the top. You're the top dog right now until somebody knocks you down. What do you think is the most challenging part of that track?
The most challenging part of that track is by far being able to go the speed that it takes to do seven in sub 2 minutes to get on to the bonus lap. That's a challenge all on its own, is being able to have that speed to run 17 ones or lower for every single lap for 7 laps straight. That's including the whole shot.
Yep.
So, that's a feat in itself. And then you do 7 laps in sub 2 minutes and realize a whole nother lap at that. So you're just screaming the entire 7 laps, and then you make it in under 2 minutes and still have to finish that bonus lap. That's one thing that I want to touch on is the whole bonus lap in this scenario. So I love bracket racing because We put 8 pilots up, and all 8 pilots are racing to the same finish line. You take a 2-minute finish your lap, and you kindly get not rewarded for going slower, but you kindly get penalized for going faster, because not only do you have to go faster to get the bonus lap, you have to travel a distance that's overall longer than everybody else. So it's kind of hard to find a balance in between the two to make it to the bonus lap. There's often occasions where, say, in the regional qualifier track, where went on to the eighth lap at a minute 58.7 or whatever it was. So it was super close. Like, I barely got the bonus lap. But then there's people where it's 7 in 201, 202 that didn't have to finish the bonus lap. If I would have fell out of the sky on the eighth lap, which I barely finished, it was a miracle that it even made through the gate. If I would have fell out on the eighth lap, because I didn't even finish the lap. You know what I'm saying? It's the bonus lap is kind of broken, is what I'm trying to say.
It's definitely
like
hard.
I say, we have a total race time. This is my opinion right here. We have a total race time of 2 minutes and 15, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. We run a X amount of laps. Everybody races to the finish line for, say 4 or 5 laps, whatever it is, to make it 2 minutes, 2 minutes 10 even, whatever the X amount of laps is to finish in that amount of time. We set that, and then no matter if you're on lap 2 or lap 4, as soon as the 2 minute and 15 buzzer goes off, like, if you didn't get to finish your lap, that's it. That's what's killing us more than anything, is a finish your lap, in my opinion.
Well, I definitely saw your video, and that definitely was a dead battery by the time you came down.
That's what I'm saying. Like, at 2 minutes, no matter low KV, 6S, low KV or low pitch props, I threw everything I had at it to get the efficiency to do that. And then once I go through all those stages and I show up, and at 2 minutes my battery is fine, it'll recover lithium. And then I go on to that bonus lap and finish in the 8th, and it comes back reading a 4-cell LiPo. That was something else.
It's dead.
I think, for practice and at that regional qualifier, I only flew 3 heats. As soon as I got 2 7s and an 8, I just said I'm done. I'm into regional finals. There's no reason in breaking all my stuff to do that. After that was 4 batteries right there that never really came back.
Exactly. You got 4 ground station batteries is basically what you have.
Yeah, 4 goggle batteries. That's a good suggestion right there.
Okay. I totally understand. I'm not sure if you're going to convince anybody of that, because that's kind of like that's like an elite problem, you know what I mean? It's like there's only
probably not.
I would say probably by the end of the regional qualifier, you're probably only going to get the top 15-20% that can do 7. And after seeing the racing, 8 is so hard. It's kind of amazing that you did it. So it's like, let's talk a little bit about that. When you were on pace for 8, what were you feeling? Were you feeling like, I have to be perfect on every lap to even have it? Were you even shooting for 8?
When all the other people that I was watching, Heads Up FPV, Wow, Doma FPV, all the guys that have already ran it, I was looking at their times and kind of like judging, if you did an 8, everything's going to have to be perfect, but 8 is definitely within reason. Like, 8 isn't shooting above anybody's means. If everybody gets the right conditions and a little bit of luck, there's probably 10, 15 pilots on that leaderboard that would have an 8 right now. But going through it, I knew that I could get a fast 7, 7 in 202, 205 or any of that, but I knew that at the end of the day that I was shooting for 8 no matter what happened.
Okay, there you go. It's like that's the chief I know. It's like it's all or nothing.
Yeah,
you either come back with 7 or 8, or you come back with parts.
Yeah, more than likely we were going to make it to regional finals anyways, so might as well let her rip.
That's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about like the individual parts of the track. I think you made a really good point in that, like, the whole shot at the very beginning is actually super important when you're talking about tenths of a second, because I mean, you're like a second or 2 from 7 or 8. It's super hard. So like for you, I guess as soon as that buzzer go off, you're at full throttle and you're just going straight down that track.
Trying to. So you race off on the launch stands or whatever. He's getting pre-tilt. I pre-tilt because I was scared to slide off in the wind, and that'd be a disqualified run. So I didn't tilt, stayed flat on the stand, and then as soon as you hear the buzzer, you want to make the most efficient takeoff that you can, because if you get on the throttle too early, you're going to be too high and have to wait for the quad to fall down to gate level to get back in it. Kind of ease off the stand, and then once you get your bearings, then get into it. And then, to get an 8, you have to run 17.1 average laps. You have to run 7 of them to get onto the 8th. That's including the whole shot. The whole shot means everything in that. That's a huge part of it. That could be the tenths that it takes to get onto the 8th lap or to miss the 8th lap.
Definitely. It's hard. And you make a good point. Definitely when you launch off, you do not want to gain altitude because you will lose so much time floating back down to the ground. So that's pretty cool. I think when I look at the track, the two places that people lose the most time is the power loop area. I call it the power loop area because like half the people do power loop it, the other half kind of do like a swing around thing type deal, and then the split S. So how do you handle the power loop area?
So you come out of let's just picture this for a second. You come out of the slaloms. The next low gate, you're at a bank coming through it. You have a hurdle. Come over the hurdle. When you're over the hurdle, you want to be already turned for the next flag. The next flag is going to be the next hook before you get into the power loop or victory roll, whatever you want to call that section. The one section that everybody knows on the track. So once you get around that flag, you come at the gate parallel. So your quad's going this way, the gate's facing this way, going through it, starting your left turn before it. Always want to visually stay 1 to 2 gates ahead. Like that's the biggest thing in racing. You can't focus on one gate because you then start getting into this motion where you're going through, stopping, going through the next gate, stopping, then going through the next gate. You want to be real flowy with it. As Chance Hartman says, you want to fly like you're writing in cursive, not like you're writing in print. That was a huge deal with me. So stringing all the gates together makes a huge difference in time, in flow, and in efficiency, because that's where you really start to lose voltage is when you're using power to stop yourself and using power to go. Not necessarily making a nice smooth turn, holding a constant throttle. The amp spikes is what kills our efficiency more than anything, in my opinion. If you get to burst in the throttle too much. But anything besides that, once you come into the gate parallel, you're going to be already turned and on your bank. You're going to come through the gate and pop up and already have the next gate. So this is the gate that we're going to be split S-ing or barrel rolling, whatever you want to call it. Have that gate in sight. And then once you're at a bank like this, more throttle is going to keep you inside of the gate, and less throttle is going to keep you outside. So as soon as you get your depth right on the next gate, just do the quick 90, finish the split S, and then power right into the split S gate. Keeping gates in view is the biggest thing in racing. Like, you can't hit a small gap if you can't see it.
I think that is probably the best tip you can give anyone, and it's so hard to do.
Yeah, it's easy to comprehend. It's hard to do consistently every time, but that's where the practice comes in.
I agree with you, and I think the style in which you're doing it makes a lot of sense, because you're essentially, when you're going into that power loop area, you're on a 90-degree bank, so your quad is basically standing up on one end, and then you still retain speed because you're still going at full throttle, but you're able to either drop or control left to right movements, and that is really hard to explain to somebody, but you have to really see it in order to explain it. And then if you can do it, because I've seen you do it in your videos, it's so fast. It's just it's bam, you're all the way through, and it's and that's what you need. And I think after that is the next split S. Is that what it is?
Yes, sir.
So you go through that, you hardly lose any time. I think this is where you gain time and everybody else loses time to get to your 17 seconds, and then you immediately attack the split S. Do you have a specific strategy you do there, or is it just go through it as smoothly as you can?
All of it revolves around staying one gate ahead all the time. As soon as you get lined up for coming out of the victory roll, you're already looking at the split S. Like you're already knowing where it's at. You know, you're powering out of it and keeping the split S in view at all times. That's one of the worst things that people do is they'll just 180 roll before a gate. Next thing you know, they're like waiting for the split S gate to appear on their screen. And like keeping that gate in view is the biggest part. And always staying one gate ahead. So even when you're split S-ing the next split S gate, when you're setting down into it to punch through it, you're already looking at the gate that's on the far side. You know, the next sweeper with a gate in the middle of it. It's staying ahead of all that helps the most out of anything.
So like, how do you? I get what you're saying, but like, how do you prevent yourself from overshooting with that mentality? Because a lot of people like they turn ahead of time to not overshoot so that they can get into it. Like I'm guessing you don't have a problem with that. So how do you do that? It's like you come in a little bit slower and then you can just power through when you come down, or
not really scared of being on the throttle when you're looking down. Like when you're looking down, you can throttle down into it. Like especially when you think your camera's on a big angle and your quad's flat. Like you may think you're looking down, but really you're throttling towards the ground. It's all trying to keep that momentum up around the track. That's key to all this. And it's hard to explain how to do it. Like you want to keep a constant speed up.
Man, that's hard.
Dude, that's so hard to talk about.
Dude, like
that's hard to comprehend that.
Like the concept of throttling to the ground so that you're faster. That's
The way I look at it is like a motorcycle racer. Like if you race Supercross or whatever, when they jump the big whoops, they're not hitting them as fast as they can and going as high as they can because they're not going forward if their back tire's not off the ground. So as soon as you get, you're going to hit a jump, but as soon as you get to the ground, the faster you're going to be able to get going forward again. That's why they're like scrubbing jumps and staying real low. That's the same way I look at it as a quad. We're not making any power. We're not going forward any if we're not at least under the gate height. Like a 5-foot gate on the ground, we're not going forward if we're 10 foot above it. We're trying to get down to it. The faster you get down to it, the faster you can go forward.
That's a good concept there. Yeah, no, I totally I understand your concept. I've looked at enough racing to understand it, but like, yeah, that's tough. But I really just liked your sentence of saying like, in order to do a good split S, you basically throttle to the ground, and
I mean that's the sense of it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I learned something today. It's like I learned to teach something.
That's at least what I do.
Yeah. All right. So in through the split S, out through the sweeper. Like on the sweeper, when you come around, is it just all yaw for you, or how do you do it?
So I fly a lot of tilt. I fly 70 degrees. So when the quad's at 70 degrees, my yaw kind of turns into roll.
Right.
And my roll turns into yaw. So I use a lot of roll when it comes to racing. Really on a track like that that's all on the ground, it's all yaw or all roll.
So it's all roll.
Never
for
really
you.
touch yaw much. Yes, sir.
All right. So basically for you, since you are so aggressive on your I think most people are like that nowadays. I think I'm still thinking old school because like it's funny because like when I look at gate hits now, like before like the gate hits used to be like this, it used to be on a 45-degree angle. Now all the gate hits are like on a 70-degree angle. It's like, okay, everybody's full tilt nowadays. It's a pretty interesting way of doing things. But I totally agree. I think we just went through all of the track. There's a lot of good tips that you made me understand how to actually look at it and see how you got like such fast times.
I don't know. It's hard to explain that stuff.
Yeah.
Very hard.
It is hard to explain. Now, I know I'm beating a dead horse, but we might as well cover it real quick because people are going to ask me, but what is your success setup and how was it set up to get you your 8 laps? Because somebody will ask.
Oh, yeah. So the all-around 8-lap setup was the Pyro Flip, Floss 2, the 5mm individual arms, carbon fiber top plate, I had it, I had an extra capacitor and everything on it. It was 320 grams all up weight with no battery, like almost ready to fly. But the 5 millimeter, 5-inch arms, I like the tighter frames, a little more responsive, not as lazy as like the 6-inch arms. The Hyperlight 2207 1722 kV. That was a great kV for 6S because it matched like 25, 50 kV on 4S. So I knew that would give me the speed. The efficiency was kind of like up in the air, but that turned out to be great or good enough on a light pitch prop to finish the 8 laps. The Race Flight ESC or Flight 1 Bolt 4-in-1 V2, that's the strongest and best flying ESC I've had yet. It takes the 6S abuse. I HV charge every pack I fly. Takes that, no issues. Never drops a corner. Nothing like that. Just been all around a good product. The Race Flight Revolt, I'm a huge fan of the Flight 1 firmware. I think it flies incredible for what I want to do. I'm not a tuner. I'm not into changing filters. All I want to do is flash it and fly it. I'm a pilot. I'm not into the electrical side of it. So Flight 1 allows me to fly a quad that ends up flying better than anything I can imagine. If there's something else out there that's better, I would be highly surprised. And then just your standard Micro Swift 2, the Brain 3D 70-degree send it mount, 70 degrees, holds my camera there. It doesn't change no matter how hard you crash. Immersion RC, Tramp VTX, stubby antenna. That's about it.
That's about it. What pitch prop did you use?
I used the HQ 5x4.8 by 3 V1S.
Okay. There you go. That's a pretty fast setup. I guess the Pyro 6S LiPo?
I was using the Pulse 1250.
1250. Yeah, I think 1250
Yes.
is what everybody's starting to standardize onto.
Yeah.
Because it's
Right.
just big enough to where you could really pound on it, but it's still, well, I don't think you can call 6S batteries light anymore. they are kind of chunky.
It's definitely heavier than a 4S, but the 1250 to 1300-ish milliamp packs at a lower C rating, because we don't need all those Cs on a 6S pack. That's why we went to 6S. You lower the C rating to get the weight pack down, and then boom, the less Cs that we need because of the 6S and the lighter pack, you really get to see more differences than like a high C 1300 milliamp pack that's at 240 grams.
Yeah, I think the battery manufacturers have not gotten the memo on that one yet. But yeah, we need lower Cs and lower weight for our 6S packs.
Yeah.
But hopefully they'll convert soon. But yeah, I personally think that a lot of people are building quads almost exactly the same as you are right now. It's just, but as racing has always dictated, it's not the gear that you send up. It's the person, it's the pilot controlling it and the time he puts in there to make it go.
As long as you have something capable, you're in the running, dude.
You are in the running. All right.
You're in the running.
So I'm guessing you've kind of, at this point, since you already know you're just going to start preparing for the regional final track?
Yes, I've changed my setups a little bit. I went from the Floss 2 Stretch Decks to the new Pyro Flip RC Dragana frame. It's 5 millimeters longer than it is wide, so it's almost a true X. I've always preferred the true X geometry of frames. It just seems more equal, and Stretch Decks, in theory, seems great for like tracks that are always on the ground. But for the multi-GP tracks that we're seeing here, where it's a lot of vertical and a lot of up and down, the true X geometry really seems like a better fit for that situation to me. That compared with how it flies, I've always liked it. So I went to the Dragana. It's a almost true X. A pod on it, it's great. 5 millimeter arms, super stubby bottom plate, sandwiched arms. It's everything I could ask for. It keeps all the weight super center to the C of G instead of like super stretched out with a long body frame. You get everything nice and tight and just enough room. You have to build the entire stack in the 30 by 30 space. Like, you can't have anything behind the stack or in front of it.
You stuff it in there and you just start cramming stuff in there.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So, like before we start wrapping up, give me your take on the regional final track. It's obviously built to be bigger and badder. So, what do you think? I mean, like Shannon Broussard, the person who runs chapters and everything, he's thinking that nobody's gonna get above 4 or 5 laps. Is that your take on it?
In my honest opinion, the regional final track, multi-GP absolutely killed it on that track. So we went easy track to let everybody into the cutoff to a little bit harder track that's going to really separate the kind of intermediate to the next level pilots that deserve to go on to the nationals. It's really going to set those two apart from, for one, if you can finish the track, if you can finish 2 minutes, finish your lap. And then for the next category, it's how fast can you do it in. I think it's a longer track, but it's technical. Our overall airspeed isn't going to be as fast as I think it was on the regional qualifier track. That's really where we waste the portion of the amps that we use is on the top end, in my opinion. So I think overall battery life, that's going to be better, a little more purposeful track, a lot more elements on it, a lot slower, a lot more technical.
Okay.
So as far as that concerns, I'm all about it. As far as anything over 5 laps, it's not going to happen.
Okay.
If you do 4 in 2 minutes, that's definitely going to happen. Somebody's going to get onto the 5th as a bonus lap, but nobody will do 5 in under 2 minutes.
Uh-oh. Hey, I think you set your own challenge, Alex. Yeah. I think you just did that.
Chance.
Okay, I'll be waiting to see your I'll be waiting to see your Facebook video on the regional final track. That's all I'm gonna say.
We're gonna let it eat.
You're gonna let it eat. All right. Hey, Alex. I wanted to make this quick, so I don't want to take up all of your time. Really appreciate you coming on here. So quickly plug your sponsors and tell us where we can find you on the internet.
So thanks to all these guys for the support that they give me to make all this possible. Pyro Flip RC, Flight One, Team Black Sheep, AC Batteries, HQ Props. I wouldn't be able to do all this without those guys.
Definitely. And where can people find you on the internet if they want to chat with you?
So YouTube is the_chief_FPV, same as Instagram, and then Facebook, Alex Campbell.
Oh, there you go. So definitely chat him up. He's a great wealth of knowledge, and we all know he's fast. I mean, that's what it takes to be number one, right? Hey, Alex, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, man.
All right.
It's always a pleasure coming on with you.
Cool, man. All right. We are out for the week. Thank you so much.